The drum spoke before the sun rose. It was a deep, old sound, slow and heavy, like a heart beating under the red earth. The people of Kijani village woke one by one, listening from their mud houses. Some pulled their wrappers tight. Some whispered prayers. A drum that spoke at dawn never meant joy. At the edge of the village lived Mama Nalia, a black woman with silver lines in her hair and strong eyes that had seen many seasons. She sat up on her sleeping mat when the drum sounded. The fire in her hut had almost died, but the embers still glowed like red eyes. Mama Nalia touched the wooden necklace on her chest. It was carved with symbols of ancestors, birds, rivers, and open hands. "The spirits are restless," she whispered. Outside, the wind moved through the tall grass, carrying the smell of wet soil and distant rain. Somewhere, a hyena laughed, sharp and mocking. Mama Nalia had been a pillar of her family. She raised children who were not her own. She fed the hungry when harvests failed. Even the elders respected her words. But her heart carried a quiet pain, one that had grown heavier since her son married Sailor, his young wife from the Riverlands. Sailor was beautiful and sharp-eyed. She smiled with her mouth, but not with her spirit. From the first day she entered Mama Nalia's compound, the old woman felt a cold shadow pass. Still, Mama Nalia welcomed her. She slaughtered a goat. Drums played. Women danced under moonlight. The ancestors were called to bless the union. But blessings can be twisted when pride walks faster than respect. That morning, Mama Nalia prepared for a journey. Her son Kato had sent word that the family would travel far, to the great city beyond the mountains, across lands where metal birds flew in the sky. It was the first time Mama Nalia would leave the soil of her ancestors. "I bought family tickets," Kato had said weeks ago, his voice full of excitement. "All of us will go together." Mama Nalia had smiled then, though fear touched her heart. Elders do not travel without reason. Still, she trusted her son. As the sun finally rose, painting the sky orange and purple, Mama Nalia stepped outside. The village was alive now. Roosters crowed. Children ran with laughter. Smoke rose from cooking fires. Drums from the shrine still echoed, slower now. She walked toward the ancestral tree, an ancient baobab standing alone near the forest edge. Its roots were thick like sleeping snakes. Elders said the spirits rested there when they visited the living. Mama Nalia placed kola nuts at the base of the tree. "Ancestors," she said softly, "I am walking into unknown lands. Guide my feet. Protect my name." The wind answered, gentle but cold. By midday, Kato and Sailor arrived with bags and loud voices. Sailor wore fine cloth and gold rings that caught the sun. She did not greet Mama Nalia with a bow. She only nodded. "We must hurry," Sailor said. "The journey is long." Mama Nalia noticed how Sailor held the travel papers close to her chest, like something stolen. They traveled by bus through dusty roads, past savanna where antelopes ran, past rivers that shone like mirrors. At night, they rested in a roadside village. Drums played there too, but these were light, careless drums. Mama Nalia could not sleep. She dreamed of a bird with broken wings trying to fly. When they finally reached the airport, Mama Nalia stopped in wonder. The place was loud and bright. Metal birds rested on the ground, breathing smoke. Voices came from everywhere. The air smelled of oil and fear. She held her small bag tightly. At the check-in counter, Sailor stepped forward first. She spoke fast, smiling too much. Kato stood beside her, silent. Then it happened. The woman at the counter looked at Mama Nalia and shook her head. "Your name is not on the ticket," she said. The world stopped. Mama Nalia felt the floor move under her feet. The noise faded. Even the metal birds seemed quiet. "That is not possible," Mama Nalia said, her voice calm but shaking. "My son said he bought family tickets." Sailor turned slowly, her eyes sharp like a knife. "There was a mistake," she said. "Only 3 tickets were allowed. Someone had to stay." Kato looked away. Mama Nalia stared at her son. "You replaced me." Silence fell between them, heavy and painful. Sailor smiled again. "You are old, Mama. Travel is not for you. Stay home." Guard the ancestors. Those words cut deeper than a spear. Mama Nalia felt heat rise in her chest. Not anger, something older. Something the ancestors knew well. Behind her, a sudden sound echoed through the airport. A drum. Not a real drum, but the deep beat inside her ears. The same drum that had spoken at dawn. Mama Nalia straightened her back. Her eyes darkened like storm clouds. This journey has started, she said slowly. And it will not end the way you think. The wind rushed through the open doors of the airport. For a moment, Sailor shivered. Far away, under the ancient baobab, the spirits listened. To be continued. Mama Nalia stood alone as the metal bird swallowed her son and his wife. She watched through the wide glass walls as the plane doors closed. The sound was heavy, final, like a grave being sealed. People rushed around her, but no one saw her pain. To them, she was only an old woman with a small bag and tired eyes. But inside her, the drum was beating again. Boom, boom, boom. She turned away slowly and walked out of the airport. The wind hit her face, hot and dry. It carried dust and voices, but also something else, a warning. That night, Mama Nalia did not sleep in the city. She took the long road back home, riding a crowded bus that groaned like an old animal. The road stretched through darkness, through sleeping villages and silent forests. The moon followed her, pale and watchful. As the bus crossed the old river bridge, Mama Nalia felt a chill. She closed her eyes and saw the river spirit rising, its long hair flowing like weeds in water. Blood does not forget blood, the spirit whispered. Mama Nalia opened her eyes, breathing hard. When she reached Kijani village at dawn, the elders were already gathered near the ancestral tree. The drum was there again, leaning against the tree, though no one remembered placing it there. Elder Goba, his beard white like ash, looked at Mama Nalia closely. You went to the land of flying birds, he said. But you returned too soon. Mama Nalia sat on the earth. She did not cry. Her voice was steady, but the pain was clear. They removed my name, she said. They replaced me like a broken pot. A murmur spread among the elders. Women clicked their tongues. Hunters tightened their grips on their spears. This is not only shame, Elder Goba said slowly. This is a tearing of the family rope. Mama Nalia lifted her eyes to the baobab tree. The leaves shook though there was no strong wind. I do not seek blood, she said. But I seek truth. That night, the village held a silent fire. No songs. No laughter. Only the crackle of burning wood and the smell of herbs. Mama Nalia sat close to the flames. Shadows danced on her face, making her look older, stronger, and dangerous in a quiet way. As the fire burned low, the air grew thick. The forest behind the village breathed out mist. From it came figures, ancestors, half light, half shadow. Their feet did not touch the ground. One stepped forward. It was a woman with eyes like deep wells. Daughter, the ancestor said, her voice like wind through dry leaves, betrayal has opened a door. Mama Nalia bowed her head. I did not open it. No, the ancestor agreed. But you must choose how it closes. Far away, across mountains and seas, Sailor felt uneasy. In the great city, tall buildings blocked the sky. Lights burned all night. There were no drums, only horns and machines. Sailor tried to sleep in the hotel room, but her dreams were broken. She dreamed of red earth filling her mouth. She dreamed of an old woman standing at an airport gate, smiling without joy. She woke up sweating. Kato slept beside her, but his sleep was troubled too. He turned and muttered his mother's name. The next day, strange things began. Sailor lost her gold ring in the hotel room. Then her travel bag went missing and was found torn near the elevator. At the airport, officials delayed them without reason. Papers were checked again and again. Bad luck, Sailor said, forcing a laugh. But her eyes darted around. Back in Kijani village, Mama Nalia walked into the forest alone. The forest welcomed her with deep green shadows. Birds cried warnings. The ground was soft with fallen leaves. She followed a narrow path known only to healers and elders. At the heart of the forest stood a stone shrine, cracked with age. This was where oaths were tied and untied. Mama Nalia placed her hands on the stone. I was pushed away, she said. My name was erased. If the family bond still breathes, let it answer. The wind rose suddenly. Leaves spun. The drumbeat returned, loud and clear. Boom, boom, boom. Back in the city, Sailor screamed. She had seen Mama Nalia's face in the reflection of a glass wall, right behind her. When she turned, there was no one there. Fear crawled into her heart. Meanwhile, Cato received a message from the village. Only 3 words, sent by an elder through a traveler. The ancestors are awake. Cato felt his knees weaken. That night, thunder rolled over the city though the sky was clear. Rain fell in heavy drops, warm and red-tinted by city lights. In Kijani village, Mama Nalia sat calmly under the ancestral tree. The path has chosen itself, she said softly. The baobab creaked, as if answering. And far away, Sailor realized too late that replacing an elder does not erase her. It summons something older. To be continued. The rain did not stop for 3 days. In the great city, water poured from the sky like angry tears. Streets flooded. Lights flickered. The metal birds delayed their flights. People complained, but the elders of Kijani village knew this rain. It was not ordinary rain. It carried memory. Cato stood at the window of the hotel, watching the water run like small rivers below. His chest felt tight. Each drop sounded like a question he had refused to answer. Something is wrong, he said quietly. Sailor sat on the bed, counting their remaining money again and again, as if the numbers might change. Her fingers trembled. Cities have rain, she replied sharply. Do not start with village fears. But even as she spoke, a cold breath brushed her neck. That night, Cato dreamed. He was a child again, running barefoot across red earth. Mama Nalia called his name, her voice strong and warm. He turned to answer, but his mouth filled with soil. He tried to cry out, but no sound came. He woke up choking. Mama, he whispered. Back in Kijani village, Mama Nalia stood before the elders at sunrise. The sky was grey. The air smelled of wet leaves and smoke. The spirits have spoken, Elder Goba said. They will show the truth, but truth cuts both ways. Mama Nalia nodded. I am ready. The elders led her to the River of Names, a slow, dark river hidden between rocks and tall reeds. Mist floated above its surface. This river was old. It remembered births, deaths, and betrayals. Mama Nalia removed her sandals and stepped into the cold water. It climbed her legs like hands. Call your name, Elder Goba said. I am Nalia, daughter of Abini, she said clearly. The river stirred. Call the name that was taken from you, the elder said. Mama Nalia closed her eyes. She saw the airport again. The counter. The cold words. The smile that was not kind. I am mother, she said. I am elder. I am family. The river shook. A low hum rose from beneath the water, like a drum far underground. In the city, Sailor suddenly felt dizzy. She grabbed the wall as the room spun. My name, she whispered, not knowing why. Something is pulling my name. Cato rushed to her side. We must go home, he said. This journey is wrong. Sailor's eyes flashed with fear and anger. No. We finish what we came for. But the city did not listen to her. The next day, officials stopped them again. Their papers showed errors that were not there before. Names were misspelled. Dates vanished. It is like your records are being washed away, one officer said, confused. Sailor's hands clenched into fists. Back at the river, Mama Nalia felt something rise around her legs. Not pain. Recognition. The water showed images, Cato as a boy, Sailor entering the family compound, the tickets being changed. The truth floated on the surface like leaves. The name that was erased seeks balance, the river whispered. Mama Nalia stepped out, shaking but strong. I do not want destruction, she said. I want remembrance. The elders nodded. Then the lesson will grow. That night, drums sounded across Kijani village. Slow, steady, calling. Even the mountains seemed to lean closer. Across the sea, Sailor could hear the drums. They came through walls, through glass, through her bones. Boom, boom, boom. She covered her ears and screamed. No more. Cato fell to his knees. It is my fault, he said aloud. I stayed silent. At that moment, the lights in the hotel went out. Darkness filled the room. In the blackness, a soft glow appeared. Mama Nalia stood there, not in flesh, but in spirit. Her eyes were calm. Her face held sadness, not rage. You removed me, the spirit said gently. But you cannot remove where you come from. Sailor cried, her pride breaking like dry wood. The vision vanished, leaving silence. The next morning, Cato made a decision. We return, he said firmly. We face what we did. Sailor said nothing. She felt hollow, like a pot with a cracked bottom. Back in Kijani village, Mama Nalia felt the drum slow. The turning has begun, Elder Goba said. Mama Nalia looked toward the horizon, where the road curved into distance. Let the truth arrive on its own feet, she replied. The wind carried her words far, guiding the lost back toward home. To be continued. The journey home did not welcome Cato and Sailor. From the moment they left the great city, the road felt heavy, like it did not want their feet upon it. The bus groaned under their weight. The sky stayed dark even at noon. Clouds hung low, thick and angry. Sailor sat by the window, silent. The proud shine in her eyes was gone. Her hands shook as she clutched her bag. Every passing village looked the same to her now. Dust, trees, watching faces. Cato sat beside her, his shoulders bent. We should have never left Mama behind, he said softly. Sailor did not answer. At a narrow road near the mountains, the bus stopped suddenly. The driver cursed. The road is closed, he said. A tree fell in the night. Passengers stepped down. The air was cold. The forest stood close, dark and breathing. Drums echoed faintly, though no village was near. Sailor felt her heart race. Do you hear that? She whispered. Before Cato could answer, a figure stepped from between the trees. It was an old hunter, his skin dark and lined, his eyes sharp as a hawk's. He carried a spear and wore charms made of bone and leather. This road does not open for those who forget their roots, the hunter said. Cato's throat tightened. We are going home, he replied. The hunter studied them, then nodded slowly. Then walk. The bus will not carry this burden. The driver refused to go further. Passengers turned back. Cato and Sailor were left standing alone on the red earth road. They walked. The forest closed around them. Leaves whispered. Branches creaked. The smell of wet soil filled their noses. With each step, Sailor felt weaker. By nightfall, they reached a small clearing. A fire burned there, though no one was seen. Sailor stopped. Someone is here. A voice answered from the shadows. All are here when truth is called. An old woman stepped into the firelight. Her back was bent. Her hair white like ash. She looked at Sailor with eyes that saw too much. You replaced an elder, the woman said calmly. Now you must face the weight of that choice. Sailor fell to her knees. I was afraid, she cried. Afraid of being small. The old woman's gaze softened. Fear does not excuse disrespect. The fire flared bright. In its flames, Sailor saw visions. Mama Nalia standing alone at the airport, the ancestors turning their faces away, the family rope fraying. She screamed. Back in Kijani village, Mama Nalia woke suddenly. The drumbeat had changed. It was faster now. The road is teaching them, Elder Goba said. Mama Nalia closed her eyes. She felt Sailor's fear, sharp and raw. Let it teach gently, she whispered. In the forest, the old woman vanished. The fire died down. Cato helped Sailor to her feet. We continue, he said. At dawn, they reached the riverlands. The river of names waited, wide and dark. Mist floated above it. Sailor froze. I cannot cross. Cato stepped forward first, water soaking his legs. I am Cato, son of Nalia, he said loudly. I failed my mother. The river parted slightly, allowing him through. Sailor stepped in next. The water rose to her waist. It felt heavy, pulling. "I am Sailor," she whispered. "I tried to erase another to feel important." The river roared. Water surged around her, dragging her under for a brief moment. When she surfaced, she was crying and shaking. But she stood. On the far bank, the road opened again. Back in the village, Mama Nalia felt a deep ache in her chest, but also release. "The truth has crossed the river," she said. That night, thunder rolled across the land. Rain fell hard, washing dust and old lies into the earth. Sailor walked in silence now, her head bowed. The journey was no longer about travel. It was about return. And the village drums beat louder, calling them home to face what awaited. To be continued. By the time Cato and Sailor reached the edge of Kijani village, the sun was sinking low, red and heavy like a warning eye. The savannah stretched wide and quiet. Even the birds had gone silent. The drums had stopped. That silence was louder than any sound. Sailor felt it press on her chest. Her legs trembled. The village she once entered with pride now felt like a court of judgment. Smoke rose from cooking fires, but no laughter followed it. People watched from a distance, women with folded arms, hunters standing still with spears resting on the ground, children pulled back by their mothers. At the center of the village, a great fire burned. The elders sat in a wide circle around it, their faces hard like carved wood. Behind them stood the ancestral tree, its branches stretching into the darkening sky. The wind moved through its leaves, whispering old names. Mama Nalia sat among the elders. She wore a simple cloth, dark blue like night water. Firelight danced on her face, showing every line of age and wisdom. Her eyes were calm, but deep, like a river that had seen too many floods. When Sailor saw her, her strength left her. She fell to her knees before the fire. Cato followed, bowing low until his forehead touched the earth. A long silence passed. The fire cracked and popped. Sparks rose into the air like restless spirits. Elder Goba stood slowly, leaning on his staff. "You were sent with family," he said, his voice steady. "But you returned alone in spirit." He pointed his staff toward Sailor. "You chose yourself over the rope that binds generations." Sailor tried to speak, but her throat closed. Tears ran freely now, burning her cheeks. "I wanted control," she finally said. "I feared being invisible. I thought removing her would make me strong." A low murmur moved through the crowd. Mama Nalia watched quietly. Elder Goba turned to Cato. "And you," he said. "You allowed silence to become a weapon." Cato's shoulders shook. "I failed," he said. "I betrayed the woman who raised me." The fire suddenly flared higher, roaring as if fed by unseen hands. The heat pressed against everyone. From the flames, shadows formed. Ancestors rose, men and women of long ago, their faces glowing, their eyes bright with ancient memory. The air grew cold despite the fire. One ancestor stepped forward, tall and commanding. "When an elder is replaced," the spirit said, "the ground shakes. When a mother is erased, the sky listens." Sailor screamed as the fire showed her visions, her changing the tickets, her cold smile, Mama Nalia standing alone at the airport gate while strangers passed her by. "Enough!" Sailor cried. "I see it. I feel it. I was wrong." She crawled forward until she reached Mama Nalia's feet. "I beg you," she sobbed. "Take back your place. Take back your name. I do not want this curse." Mama Nalia stood. The firelight wrapped around her like a crown. She looked down at Sailor, not with hatred, but with a pain deeper than anger. "You did not only remove me from a journey," Mama Nalia said. "You tried to remove me from the family story." She lifted her face toward the ancestors. "I carried children that were not mine," she continued. "I fed mouths when food was scarce. I kept the family rope tied." Her voice did not rise. That made it stronger. The ancestors nodded. Mama Nalia turned back to Sailor. "The fire does not want your destruction," she said. "It wants your truth." Sailor pressed her forehead to the ground. "I accept whatever lesson comes," she whispered. The fire roared one last time, then suddenly calmed. The shadows faded. The ancestors stepped back into the unseen. Elder Goba struck the ground with his staff. "The climax has spoken," he said. "Balance must be restored." The elders stood. Mama Nalia took one step toward Sailor. "The journey you wanted so badly," she said, "has already happened. It was not across the sky. It was into yourself." She extended her hand. "Rise," she said. Sailor hesitated, then took it. The moment their hands touched, the wind swept through the village. The baobab tree creaked loudly. Somewhere far away, thunder answered. The fire lowered itself, calm and steady. But the lesson was not finished yet. Because forgiveness, like fire, must be handled with care. To be continued. Dawn came slowly to Kijani village. The sky softened from black to deep blue, then to pale gold. Birds returned to the trees. Roosters crowed. The land breathed again. The fire at the village center had turned to ash, thin smoke rising like the last sigh of a long night. Mama Nalia sat beneath the ancestral tree. She had not slept. Elders rarely did after a night when spirits walked so close. Her back rested against the great baobab, its bark rough and warm. She could feel the ancestors settling, returning to their places beyond sight. Sailor stood a short distance away. She did not approach. She waited. For the first time since entering the family, she understood that respect begins with patience. Kato sat beside his mother, silent, his eyes red from crying. He looked smaller than he once had, like a boy again. "Mama," he said finally, "will the ancestors forgive us?" Mama Nalia did not answer at once. She listened to the wind moving through leaves, to the village waking, to the drum inside her chest, now slow and calm. "The ancestors do not rush," she said. "They watch." Elder Goba joined them, his staff tapping the earth. "Today," he said, "the final thread must be tied." The villagers gathered again, not in judgment this time, but in witness. Women brought water. Hunters laid down their spears. Children sat quietly, sensing the weight of the moment. At the center, a rope made of woven grass and cloth was placed on the ground. It was old, repaired many times. This rope symbolized family, stretching across generations. Elder Goba raised his hand. "This rope was strained," he said. "It nearly broke." He turned to Sailor. "You pulled it." Sailor stepped forward slowly. Her head was bowed. Her fine clothes were gone. She wore simple cloth now, the kind worn by women who worked the land. "I thought replacing an elder would lift me higher," she said, her voice trembling. "But it only pulled me lower." She knelt and touched the rope with both hands. "I asked to be taught," she said. "Not to rule." Mama Nalia stood. The village fell silent. She walked toward Sailor, each step steady. The sun rose behind her, wrapping her in light. She bent down and lifted the rope. "This rope does not belong to one person," Mama Nalia said. "It belongs to memory." She placed the rope into Sailor's hands. "If you hold it," she continued, "you must hold everyone tied to it, above you and below you." Tears rolled down Sailor's face as she nodded. "I understand," she whispered. Mama Nalia turned to Kato. "And you," she said. "Silence can cut deeper than knives." Kato bowed low. "I will speak," he said, "even when my voice shakes." The elders nodded in approval. Then Mama Nalia did something no one expected. She called the children forward. "Come," she said gently. They gathered around her, wide-eyed. "Look at me," she said. "And look at her." She placed one hand on Sailor's shoulder. "This is how families survive," Mama Nalia said. "Not by replacing, but by correcting." The wind rose softly. Leaves shimmered. Somewhere, a single drumbeat sounded, slow, peaceful. Boom, boom, boom. The ancestors were satisfied. That evening, the village cooked together. Pots bubbled. Laughter returned, careful at first, then full. Drums played again, this time joyful. Women danced. Firelight painted warm colors on smiling faces. Sailor worked beside Mama Nalia, grinding grain, listening more than speaking. Each movement was humble, deliberate. Later, as stars filled the sky, Sailor knelt before Mama Nalia one last time. "I will never erase you again," she said. "Nor any elder." Mama Nalia placed her hand on Sailor's head. "Remember this," she said. "When you replace respect with pride, you invite destruction. When you honor elders, you protect your future." The wind carried her words into the night. And the ancestors carried them even further. Moral lesson. An elder is not a seat to be taken, but a root that holds the family steady. Those who replace respect with pride may travel far, but they will always be called back until they learn humility.